Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Ghadi Francis coming to you from Beirut, Lebanon, and this is WION's weekly show where we bring you all things new from the world's most volatile region, West Asia. This week we have a lot lined up for you, starting with the country I'm currently standing in. Tens of thousands of Israelis have fled the northern areas under rocket fire from Lebanon's Hezbollah. Things are escalating at the Lebanese-Israeli borders. And on the other hand, inside the Gaza Strip, the war machine is still going on, regardless of the speaking about a ceasefire. And also, what about the changing American politics towards Israel? All this is lined up, but first, let's take a quick look at the headlines.
Israeli raids continue in the occupied West Bank. Palestinian Health Ministry says Israeli forces killed 3 Palestinians and wounded at least 13 others in a raid in the occupied city of Jenin. At least 7 people were killed and 20 others injured after school bus capsizes into a river in northwestern Syria. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa says Palestinian Authority is ready to re-establish unified Palestinian leadership after the Gaza war.
And now to the country I'm currently standing in. Since day one of the war in Gaza, Lebanon has entered a solidarity war. This is what Hezbollah has announced. Since day one, this is what we have previously reported about in the West Asia Post. But this week there's something new. Hezbollah was able to defeat the Iron Dome. Not once, but twice they struck it. And the rockets of Hezbollah fire set the settlements on fire in the northern area. Now this had escalating and raising tensions and threats from both parties, the Israeli and the Lebanon's Hezbollah. Now we will tell you more details about this in this report.
Lebanon's Hezbollah group and the Israeli forces have been trading cross-border fire daily since October 7th last year, with the escalation in the past 2 weeks now amplifying twofolds at the Lebanon-Israel border. The conflict intensified last Sunday when the Lebanon said it disabled the Iron Dome radar and targeted the IDF headquarters in the occupied Golan Heights with drones. One of these headquarters is reported to be Yarden Barracks, one of Israel's main operations centers in times of war. However, the Israeli military claimed its Iron Dome was not disabled. The IDF said that 15 projectiles were fired into northern Israel, which fell in open areas and started the fires. Fires sparked by Hezbollah missiles reached residential areas in Israeli border towns, leading to Israel's fire service rushing its firefighters to several spots, including in the town of Kiryat Shmona, where they were trying to protect a line of houses. Over 60,000 Israeli residents were evacuated from the area near the Lebanese border. On Monday, the Hezbollah said 2 of its fighters were killed by Israeli fire, after Lebanese official media reported fatalities in Israeli strikes on a car and a motorcycle in the country's south. On Wednesday, the Lebanese group for the second time said it launched guided missiles and disabled Israel's Iron Dome in Ramoth, Naphtali. On both counts, the Israeli military said it did not know of any attack on the Iron Dome. In the latest spate of fatalities, Hezbollah's drone attacks resulted in casualties in the Israeli town of Hurfeish. The IDF said one of its soldiers was killed in the attack. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the northern border after 8 months of war with Hamas. He asserted that Israel is prepared for an intense operation along the border.
Yesterday the ground was burning here, and I'm glad you put it out. But the ground was also burning in Lebanon. Whoever thinks that they can harm us and we will sit idly by is making a big mistake. We are prepared for a very strong action in the north. In one way or another, we will restore security to the north.
Meanwhile, the Lebanese group's deputy chief in an interview reaffirmed that the Hezbollah is not seeking to widen its conflict with Israel, but is ready to fight any war imposed on it. Meanwhile, the Lebanese group's deputy chief in an interview reaffirmed that Hezbollah is not seeking to widen its conflict with Israel, but is ready to fight any war imposed on it. The conflict has already taken a toll on either side of the border. As per Israeli reports, over 15 soldiers and dozens of civilians have lost their lives in northern Israel. Over 400 people, including 88 Hezbollah members, have died in this conflict so far. With mounting casualties and fears of a downward spiral, global leaders are voicing their concerns.
I mean, we're obviously very concerned about the continued and heightened tensions along the blue line. I think it is incumbent on all the parties involved to take advantage of the different mechanisms through which the situation can be de-escalated, notably the trilateral meetings that our peacekeeping mission can organize. And just we hope that not only in terms of exchange of fire, but the rhetoric is lowered.
The United States has warned Israel that an escalation in Lebanon will only harm its security.
We do remain incredibly concerned about the risk of isolation along the Israel-Lebanon border. It's something we've been concerned about since the immediate aftermath of October 7th, and we have been engaged in intense diplomatic conversations and intense diplomatic negotiations to try to avoid that conflict from escalating beyond control.
The question is, with an overstretched military fighting in Gaza for nearly 9 months, can the IDF afford an all-out war with Hezbollah?
Now to the center of it all, Gaza. Amid the maneuvering for a ceasefire, the Israeli shellings and strikes continue to claim more innocent lives in the Gaza Strip. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister says he will continue that until Hamas is eliminated, something that the Americans don't think is possible. Now, on the other side, Hamas group refuses any talks about truce unless there is an agreement for a permanent ceasefire. Now, the following report will bring you more details.
Yet another horrifying account from Gaza, Israeli forces hit a UN RWA school in Nuseirat camp in airstrikes. Those strikes claimed the lives of at least 40 civilians, including women and children.
We are displaced in Al-Kastel Towers. My son called us at 2:30 in the morning to say that Ahmed had been martyred. They hit them with a missile in the classroom in the school. We came here. We have been awake and have not slept until now. He is the youngest, one of my sons, and my dearest.
Israel says it was a targeted attack on 30 Hamas militants housed inside the premises. IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said the strike at the school was conducted after intelligence information of no women and children in the classrooms. He went on to name the Hamas fighters the forces believed were hiding inside the UN-run school.
We conducted the strike once our intelligence and surveillance indicated that there were no women or children inside the Hamas compound, inside those classrooms. Despite the complex operational conditions, our Air Force used precise munitions to target the 3 specific classrooms that the terrorists were hiding inside. Here are some of the terrorists who were hiding inside the UN school in Nuseirat, who we eliminated before they could carry out more attacks against Israelis.
Ismail Al-Tawabta, the director of the Hamas-run government media office, rejected Israel's assertion that the UN school in Nuseirat was hiding a Hamas command post. Washington says it is in contact with Israel about Thursday's strike on the Gaza school.
We've seen the claims that 14 children were killed in this strike. And certainly when you see, if that is accurate, that 14 children were killed, those aren't terrorists. And so the government of Israel has said that they're going to release more information about this strike, including the names of those who died in it. We expect them to be fully transparent in making that information public.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the strike on the school, which was sheltering about 6,000 displaced Palestinians. The Israeli Information Center for Human Rights in the occupied territories, B'Tselem, called the attack on the school housing internally displaced people a suspected war crime. In another tragic incident, Israeli shelling and airstrikes killed at least 19 people in central and South Gaza. Palestinian medics said these deaths included 2 policemen who were helping protect humanitarian aid deliveries in the southern city of Rafah. 17 of them died in separate Israeli airstrikes on the Al-Burej and Al-Maghazi refugee camps and the city of Deir al-Balah in central Gaza. The IDF strikes are taking place at a sensitive moment, with mediated negotiations on a ceasefire agreement currently on. That agreement entails the release of hostages seized by Hamas on October 7th, and some of the Palestinians held in Israeli jails. Hamas is seeking a permanent ceasefire. However, Israel says it must destroy the Islamist group first.
We are working in countless ways to return our hostages. I think about them all the time, about their families, about their suffering. Therefore, we have gone the extra mile to bring them back. But during this action, we have maintained the goals of the war, and primarily the elimination of Hamas. We insist that we complete both. It's part of the outline. It's not something I'm adding now. It's something I'm adding because I was pressured in the coalition. It's something we unanimously agreed on in the war cabinet.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing flack from within his own cabinet over the US proposed ceasefire agreement. Israel's National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has accused Netanyahu of whitewashing the ceasefire deal.
If there is no agreement for ending the war, why are you refusing to show me the draft that you have promised to show me? There can only be one reason for all the hiding and smearing. This is a draft of a reckless deal, and now there is some sort of an attempt to whitewash it.
In an interview with Time magazine, US President Joe Biden said Netanyahu may be stalling the ending of the war in Gaza for political reasons. Republican leaders in the US say the Israeli Prime Minister will present the truth about the war when he addresses the US Congress on the 24th of July.
A political crisis is unfolding once again in Turkey. Lawmakers brawled inside the parliament. The ruling party MPs were brawling with the pro-Kurdish party MPs inside the parliament. And this was over the mayor that was expelled. Otherwise, protests broke out in the streets of Turkey, and people were voicing their opinions about the imprisoned mayor. We tell you more.
Chaos in Turkish parliament as ruling AK lawmakers exchange blows with the opposition DEM party members. The Trouble broke out over the arrest of a DEM mayor, Mehmet Siddiq Akis, by the police this week. Akis is the mayor of the southeastern Hakkari province, bordering Iran and Iraq. He was removed from parliament before being jailed for 19 and a half years for suspected links to the Kurdistan Workers' Party militia. Akis called the court sentence a political trial. Tensions flared in the parliament when DEM lawmakers held protests chanting "shoulder to shoulder" against fascism.
The people of Hakkari expressed their will on March 31st. The people of Hakkari went to the polls and voted democratically so that democracy would be manifested. Despite the fact that they set up a military garrison, despite all the military forces that were deployed there, the people elected our co-presidents, WION and Mehmet Siddiq Akis. Now they are trying to ignore this will, the will of the people, with a lawlessness, a trap, a conspiracy.
Lawmakers from President Tayyip Erdogan's AK party responded with counter-protests chanting "Damn the PKK" outside the parliament. Protesters clashed with the police in the southeast Turkey Hakkari province. The opposition media outlet claimed officers fired rubber bullets on the crowd. Kurds expressed their disappointment after a government-appointed trustee replaced their elected mayor. Critics claim the move shows a pattern. They say the Turkish President Erdogan's government removes elected mayors belonging to the pro-Kurdish DEM party on trumped-up terrorism-related charges. In Turkey's national parliament, the DEM has 57 of the 594 seats, making it the third largest party behind the ruling AKP and the main opposition CHP. In 2019, the government dismissed around 50 elected mayors from the pro-Kurdish party, replacing them with its administrators. The party's former president, Selahattin Demirtas, who is in jail since 2016, was sentenced in May to 42 years on a string of charges, including undermining the state's unity.
Now it is time to speak about Iran. The political tide is turning in the Islamic Republic. Speaker of the Parliament, Mohammad Baqir Ghalibaf, and former Vice President Ishaq Jahangiri have signed up for the presidential race. And also, in a recent acknowledgement, Tehran says it has renewed and started talking again to Washington. What is happening in Iran? The latest developments in this report.
Iran is having snap presidential elections on June 28th. Candidates are in the fray. The best known among them is Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. First elected as Iran's president in 2005, Ahmadinejad stepped down because of limits set on his term in 2013. The Guardian Council barred him from contesting in 2017, a year after Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei told him that it was not in his interest and that of the country.
What made me determined to participate in the election field was due to the support of honorable people from all the country. They showed their kindness and affection for me, and they insisted I run and enter the race.
Other senior figures in the race include current Parliament Speaker Mohammad Baqir Ghalibaf and US-sanctioned former Revolutionary Guards Commander Wahid Haqqanian. The US has held Haqqanian and 9 others in Khamenei's inner circle responsible for advancing domestic and foreign oppression. However, Iran says they're all baseless accusations. The 12-strong body of jurists, either appointed or approved by the Supreme Leader, have until June 11th to authorize the candidates for presidency. In a rare acknowledgement, Iran's acting foreign minister Ali Bagheri said Tehran is in talks with Washington. The negotiations were hosted by the Gulf Sultanate of Oman. Ali Bagheri also visited the West Asian nations of Syria and Lebanon as part of his bid to support a ceasefire in Gaza.
I discussed a series of matters with my brother and dear colleague, the Lebanese foreign minister, including the situation in Gaza, especially in Rafah, and we were in agreement that all countries of the region, especially Islamic countries, must adopt a joint movement for the purpose of confronting the Zionist aggression and protecting the Palestinian people, especially in Rafah. In this context, we agreed on an initiative to hold an emergency meeting of foreign ministers of member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation as a joint proposal that enables us to take a firm, collective step in this regard.
Local media has also reported that Tehran has threatened to respond if the UN watchdog approves a new censure resolution proposed by Britain, France and Germany. The three European nations have submitted a draft resolution condemning Iran for failure to cooperate with the watchdog. At the last IAEA board meeting in March, European powers put off plans to confront Iran for lack of US support. The United States denies it is hampering European efforts to hold Iran accountable, but fears a censure could aggravate West Asian tensions.
A French parliament member was in solidarity with Palestine. He got expelled. The next week, what happened? Tens of parliamentary members in France were wearing the colors of the Palestinian flag to show solidarity for both the MP and, of course, the Palestinian cause. Listen in.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le député.
I see everyone's clothes. I believe it is necessary to remember that we are in the National Assembly.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you the most recent updates, news, and ground reports from the world's most volatile region. I am Radi Francis, signing off from Beirut, Lebanon. For more global news, keep on watching WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Namaste. Hello, friends. We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subhash Chandra Show.
This week on Inside South Asia, India's general election results show a major dip for the ruling BJP. Opposition India bloc emerges as a strong opposition. Maldives to ban Israelis from entering the country over atrocities in the war in Gaza. The grim realities of Hira Mandi in Pakistan's Lahore, a long way from the grandeur of the OTT series of the same name. UNICEF report says tens of thousands of children are worst hit by torrential rains and floods wreaking havoc in many parts of Afghanistan. This and more on Inside South Asia.
This week on Take It Out.